let's go ahead and dive into it and talk about this big time victory for the Oklahoma Sooners women's basketball team. It was really fun to watch them perform the way that they did. First against Florida Gulf Coast, they beat them 81-58 in that first game. Which, I mean, this is a pretty decent team, but Oklahoma came out and just absolutely murdered them. Overall, just killed them in every facet. Oklahoma ended up pulling down 72 rebounds. 72. And I believe 18 of them were Reagan Beers. She had 25 points, 18 rebounds. This number 3 seed Oklahoma team is very good right now. Reagan Beers is 6'4". She's an inch taller than me. She's a tall girl. She's physical. Other players are physical towards her as well, but she's just so dominant in pretty much anything she does. She ended up shooting 50% from the field, looking really good, and she puts up sure shots. She puts up shots that are going to go in. She doesn't throw stuff up that most of the time she doesn't throw stuff up that is kind of like a 50-50, less than a 50-50 ball. That's why her field goal percentage was so high in this game, and it was a really good game from her overall. Of course, looking at Skylar Van, she scored 24 points. Peyton Verhulst ended up scoring 13.6 rebounds and 6 assists. Really good game from her as well. This was just a total dominant performance for Oklahoma, and that 72 rebounds, that set an NCAA tournament record for most rebounds in a tournament game. That's just crazy to see how dominant this team is looking right now. And before we bounce on to the game today, that first game, absolute dominant performance. But then moving on to the second game against Iowa that just happened just a few moments ago, just earlier today. This was a big game for Oklahoma, and it was just a total dominant performance as they move on to the Sweet 16. But first, before I jump to that Iowa game, it was just so much fun to watch how everything seemed to click. Everything seemed to just go right for them, and that's exactly what they needed. But they ended up beating Iowa 96-62. Iowa, who was 10-8 in the Big Ten, they went 23-11 overall. Pretty solid team. I mean, they made it all the way up to the second round in the tournament, so they've got to be competition, right? But the game is in Norman. The fans showed out. If you were watching on TV, even you could hear the atmosphere there. It was absolutely electric. Oklahoma fans really showed out. The student section, there was a bunch of free tickets being given away just to entice people to go, and there was so many people that ended up showing up. This was huge for the Oklahoma Sooners as they moving on to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2013. It was big. Again, Skylar Van had another big game. She ended up scoring 17 points. Peyton Verhulst scored 16 points. Those two girls are always right in there. And Reagan Beers, a quieter game from her, but it was just such an overall perfect performance from this Oklahoma Sooners team that it didn't matter. Reagan Beers only had 11 points, but she ended up getting 13 rebounds and also 4 blocks on the game. So, and she only played for 18 minutes. It wasn't, I think she's usually playing over 20 minutes for sure, right around that 25-minute mark, even up to 30 minutes in many games, but only playing for 18 minutes and doing what she did on the overall was just absolutely amazing. Again, 13 rebounds and then 4 blocks. Just a great performance from them. Oklahoma out-rebounded Iowa, and this just goes to show how physical this women's team is that Oklahoma dominated Iowa 64-33 in rebounds. That's crazy. And moving on to the Sweet 16 now, it's going to be electric to watch this team and see how far they can make it. I'll be cheering for them. I hope they make it all the way. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much because I've already gotten my hopes up too much with the other Oklahoma teams this year, and it's just been letting me down. It's been letting a lot of us down, but we can be excited for them and show our support for them because these girls are absolutely amazing. But going out there and doing what they did today, they only shot 32% from the field, or sorry, from the 3-point line. Which isn't bad. Iowa shot 40%, but they shot so many times, weren't making a whole lot from there, and still dominated this game, shooting 40% from the field, and just owning basically down in the paint. That's where a lot of the scoring was. A lot of dicing through the lane. You know, you'd have a girl from the corner, sprint down to the paint and get an open shot, and it was just sure shots. It was shots that Oklahoma knew that they were able to score those. They weren't throwing up balls from all over the place when they didn't need to. They found a rhythm. They got in that rhythm, and they got out to a decent lead. But then late in that last part of the game, they really broke away. Again, winning 96-62. Just incredible. 34 points in a tournament game. It's not like this is a game in the regular season where you're going against an inferior opponent, anything like that. This is a tournament game where these girls just absolutely dominated. They dominated a very good team, a very good Iowa team. So this was absolutely amazing for them. I love seeing what they're able to do. Men's basketball kind of let us down. They ended up losing to UConn, but you know what? They put up a great fight. But men's basketball did let us down a little bit. They made it to the tournament. You've got to be happy for that. But Oklahoma women's basketball made it there and now has won 2 games, putting themselves into the Sweet 16 again, first time since 2013. So very excited for these girls and for their journey ahead. They've got so much going for them. Very exciting times for the Oklahoma Sooners women's basketball team.